Today's lesson is going to be about how to correct overpronation. Now let me start off by talking about pronation. Everybody says, well, I'm a pronator. Well, everybody pronates. You have to pronate. The pronation in your ankle is when pronation is really your foot needs a spring. It absorbs shock. Okay? So as your foot comes down, there is a certain amount of flexibility, I will say, in how your toes spread and how your toes spread away from your heel. That's kind of natural to the body. When you overpronate is when there's way too much flexibility in the ankle and you start losing ankle strength, and then you start having incorrect biomechanics, and that can lead to more injury. So let me talk first about overpronation, what it is. So if you look at my feet, a lot of people, when they run and walk, have their feet splay out just a little bit. So if your feet splay out, what happens when your feet splay out is that every time you take a step, your foot goes out, but your knee wants to keep going in the direction you're headed. So what that does is that it twists your lower leg. So runner's knee, for most people, is a tear in the medial meniscus tendon, and that comes from rotating that lower leg too much. Okay. So the idea is to run with your feet or walk with your feet pointed in the direction you're headed. That's an easy law to remember. Just have your legs aimed in the direction you're headed, your feet. So when you rotate your leg to where your feet are pointed forward, don't just turn your foot in, rotate your whole leg so that then you're strengthening these adductor muscles. These are the muscles that are going to hold your leg in line. These are much stronger muscles than just trying to do your ankle muscles to try to point your foot forward. You want to rotate your whole leg forward so that these get strong over a period of time. So then, somebody who has weak ankles, their ankles will cave in like this. Okay? That's an overpronator, someone who has actually weakened the medial side of their ankle so that there's little stability in there. What happens for people who overpronate, which means they have weak ankles, is that the shoe companies have made structure shoes that have a big, either a stiffened arch or a whole medial support. It's called a medial post, and it shows as a big gray section on the sole of your shoe. So that's supposed to keep you from rolling in. But the problem isn't going to be corrected by the shoes. It's got to be corrected in your body. If you ever want to get over this, and you can, everybody can change. The human body is amazing in how it can adapt and change. So what you want to do is learn to strengthen all of these medial tendons and muscles on the inside of your leg. One way to do that is to work on balancing your feet. So when I talk about balance, you want to balance your feet inside to outside so that they're really just flat and stable. If you're an overpronator, you'll feel too much pressure on the inside of your foot. If you're bow-legged, you'll find too much pressure on the outside of your foot. You really want to be neutral. That's why your body was really designed to move in the most efficient way, is in a neutral stance. If you're an overpronator, the best way to correct that, the best way to strengthen your legs so that you can be more neutral, is to practice creating a little bit of pressure on the outsides of your feet, just on the outside edge. The way to do that is from up here. It's really from leveling your pelvis. So when I talk about leveling your pelvis, you can tilt it down in front, tilt it up in front, and when you bring it up in front, you're really contracting these lower abdominal muscles to hold your pelvis level. It comes up in front. You look at it from the side, here my pelvis is not level, it's sloped down. When I level my pelvis, you'll see that my waistband actually comes up level to the ground. When my pelvis is tilted forward, it tilts down. So when you level your pelvis, it pulls on all of the connective tissue all the way from your arches clear up the inside of your legs. So when I level my pelvis, it helps me to level my feet, helps me to balance my feet. So I'm trying to hold my pelvis level in order to strengthen all those inside muscles, and that's what's going to keep my feet from caving in on the inside. Gradually, as these muscles get stronger, for those of you who overpronate, you'll be able to switch to a shoe that doesn't have all the bells and whistles that hold your foot in the right place. You could possibly even get rid of orthotics. And for those of you who have flat feet, this is a way to start building arches, how to get them actually stronger, so that they're supported all the way from up here. Those arches are pulled up from clear up here. And then you can gradually work to less and less of a shoe, which is just easier to run in. They're lighter weight, they're more flexible and everything else. So the idea is to balance your feet. That's the key word. You want to feel them balanced. If you feel too much pressure on the inside, you want to create a little pressure on the outside. So, and that will help you to strengthen. Every time I create pressure on the outside of my feet, I have to contract all of these muscles, the inside. So balance your feet.